Good evening, everyone. I hope all of you are doing great. Welcome to the day one of the AAA Game Changer webinar for the June 2026 exam window. My name is Ahmed and I am your AAA tutor. And I really hope so that all of you are motivated and all of you have got this self belief that yes, on Monday, 1st June 2026, you can actually nail this exam, and probably this is your last exam. So you are on the verge of a beautiful thing called ACCA qualification. Today is 5th May. So I'm pretty confident that if there is anyone out there who's going to have disciplined 25 days or the next 3 weeks, disciplined 3 weeks, rather than motivate the burst of motivation over the weekend and then a depressing weekdays, lazy weekdays. No, this is not going to work. We need to have a disciplined approach over the remaining 3 weeks period. And as a result of that, all of you have got the potential and the capability to shine like a bright star on Monday, 1st June 2026. Why I am so sure that all of you have got the potential to nail the exam on 1st June? Because if you are right in the middle of AAA, if you have already submitted AAA exam fee, it means you have qualified and you have passed good enough ACCA exams. So have you got that, have you got that spark in you? Absolutely, yes. Otherwise, it's not practically possible for you to sit and attend this particular session. So if you're watching this session and if you have got 3 weeks, trust me on that, you have got the potential, you have got the resources, and you have got all the resources to build a success story for yourself over the next 3 weeks. You don't need highly motivated Sunday followed up by a very lazy Monday or a Tuesday which is not that productive. You need a disciplined approach over the next 3 weeks, and as a result of that, you can actually pass this paper in flying colors. AAA Advanced Audit and Assurance is the backbone of ACCA. As a chartered accountant, everyone around the globe expects compliance from you. Compliance in the form of reporting, compliance in the form of auditing. Everything else is secondary, everything else is incidental to the main cause, and the main objective is to become chartered accountant. And if that has to happen, your reporting and your auditing has to be your strength. And over the next 20-25 days, you can actually grasp the drafting technique, practice good enough or sufficient questions, but again and again. And as a result of that, you can definitely nail this paper. You can crack this exam in the upcoming period. That little statement by me where I said, don't go for extraordinary number of questions. Rather than that, focus on sufficient number of questions. And those sufficient number of questions must be repeated again and again. That reminds me of a story which was narrated by Akankasha. She scored 78 marks in the March 2026 AAA exam. And right after the result, in my post-result orientation session, I was having what you call it, a little interview for the sake of inspiration for the upcoming AAA aspirants who are going to attempt the exam in June 2026. She said, I focused on the top 30 questions recommended by Ahmed sir, and I ensured that those top 30 questions, I ensured that those top 30 questions are absolutely flawless. And for that, I practiced those top 30 questions again and again, again and again. And as a result of that, with the passage of time, I realized that 50 to 60% of any question, or should I say 50 to 60% of an exam, is somehow, somewhere reflection of some other question, some other paper. So please try and absorb this particular ideology where I will give you a plan. After a short while, I will tell you my top 30 questions for the next 2-3 weeks. And if you are going to remain disciplined, you will definitely nail this exam. In fact, that interview where I asked some extremely important question. By the way, she has scored a national position in India. I just got the news few hours ago. So I will, once I'm done with this particular session after 2-3 hours, first thing which I'm going to do is I will share the link of that interview. That's hardly a 8 to 10 minutes video. I will share the link in all the groups, in my regular batch group, in my global groups, which are free for all. So I will share the link of that interview. You got to watch that interview. Mind you, we had that conversation approximately 10 days or 2 weeks ago. Now today, just today, she got the brilliant news of securing national position in India. So that interview was important considering the fact she scored 78, but now that interview is ever more important considering the fact ACCA has acknowledged her efforts as well. So watch out, absorb that interview. It will just take 8 to 10 minutes if you're going to watch it at a normal speed, and I'm sure you will learn a lot. In fact, this particular session, which is going right now, and then followed up by her interview of 8 to 10 minutes, you will have so much clarity. You will understand so many things, and you will be in a great position to realize and be motivated and have that confidence that you have got the potential to nail this exam as well, just like her. Okay, let's proceed. And you guys are more than welcome to use the chat box. If you have got any concerns or queries, you're more than welcome to use the chat box throughout the session, and I will definitely answer your queries. So don't worry. Okay. Now, guys, intentionally, I have divided this particular session into 3 parts. First part, where I will share some insights in relation to the AAA exam, what needs to be done in order to fail the paper, what needs to be done in order to crack the exam on Monday, 1st June 2026. So that's going to be my part 1 of the today's lecture. And part 1 is going to last hardly 10 to 12 minutes. Part 2, the second part of the tonight's session, where I will give a plan, a realistic plan, including the top 30 questions, and that realistic plan, if followed religiously, realistically, and more importantly, with a disciplined approach. A disciplined approach can take you to the places. Motivation is seasonal. Motivation is vulnerable. You can have a bad day, and as a result of that, your motivation to study for straight 3 hours can go down. Motivation can be influenced because of your family issues, financial issues, economic issues, I don't know, geopolitical issues. Motivation is vulnerable, but your disciplined approach, your small little daily targets can make you an ACCA member within no time. If you want to pass the AAA exam, control the variables and focus on small little targets on a daily basis. Think big, but start small. Start from today. So I'll give you a plan in the part 2 of the today's session, and that stage will last hardly 5 to 10 minutes. Then approximately after 20 to 30 minutes, we will start the third and the final stage. And the third and the final stage will be about business risk and risk of material misstatement. There are few things which are absolutely certain when it comes to the AAA exam, and one of them is that we all of us are getting risk of material misstatement in the final exam. Business risk, most likely yes, but not a guarantee. But risk of material misstatement is a guarantee. So we will be focusing risk of material misstatement, business risk in the third and the final stage, or in the final stage of the today's lecture. So it's time for me to start the show, and here we go. Okay, so all eyes on Monday, the winning day, the D-Day, 1st June 2026. My name is Ahmed, and I really hope so that with the help of this live session, I will be able to, give you the much needed push towards the glory, towards the success. Well, the great news is from tomorrow morning, I am starting the third and the final batch. At VIFHE, we have got the regular batch, followed up by the post-result batch. Finally, for the last 3 weeks or more, we always start the final batch, which is called the revision batch, also known as the crash course. So from tomorrow, I'm starting my AAA revision course. In fact, VIFHE is going to start revision courses for all the papers starting from tomorrow morning. So you just have to go to the website, select the revision course, and join the revision course. And I'm sure revision course is absolutely worth it. Still, if you have got any queries, you can always reach out to the admission department through the WhatsApp text. Though I will always recommend not to contact the admission department through the WhatsApp text. Go for the website first. That's seamless, far more convenient. A brief introduction about me. I teach BT, AA, and AAA at VIFHE. VIFHE is a gold online ALP. We have got no physical classes or no physical existence. VIFHE was established before COVID-19, so it was not a makeshift arrangement because of COVID-19. It was an ideology conceived before COVID, and that is why we are a gold online ALP, because we are consistently producing great results across the globe.
Nie wiem na razie. Kochani, ty możesz gąbeczka i czyścisz. Miseczkę ci naleję wodę?
Cannot agree more on that. Okay, so as per the year-end data, 2025 year-end, VIFHE has got students from 146 countries. Well, I was part of the ACCA's elite panel, where I was selected by the ACCA for the sake of practice to pass webinars for both AA and AAA. Okay, moving forward, these are the few latest nationwide position holders for the paper AA, followed up by latest position holders nationwide for the paper Advanced Audit and Assurance. Moving forward, yes, there she is, the shining star, and she has got 78 marks in AAA. Please trust me, you can easily have a jump of minimum 5 to 10 marks in your AAA final score if you will just invest 10 minutes and watch the conversation between me and her. I will personally share the link in the WhatsApp group. You got to watch that short conversation and learn a thing or two. I'm sure you are going to be much more confident after watching the interview. Guys, you got to mute all, please. Okay, now everyone will stay muted because I've disallowed the option of unmuting yourself. Okay, quickly, the course content of AAA, syllabus areas A, B, and C. This is what I consider the stage 1 of your syllabus. These are very important. Quality management and ethics. These are one of the most underprepared topics of AAA. For ethics, you got to watch my Ethics Knockout Punch 1 and Ethics Knockout Punch 2, followed up by past paper questions. For quality management, one lecture is extremely important where I've covered ISQM 1, ISQM 2, and ISA 220, followed up by my lectures on past paper questions such as James, Forsythia, and much more. Stage 2, which is about the planning and risk, which is about the syllabus area D. For that, I will recommend my top 10 questions. Although at the VIFHE LMS, there are 20 or more, but I will just give you top 10 questions relevant to the syllabus area D. Guys, for syllabus area A, B, and C, I will give you 5 questions, 25 marks each. For syllabus area D, which covers syllabus area B as well, A as well, I will give you my top 10 questions. So please do the maths. The total is 15. 5 for the syllabus areas A, B, C, 10 for the syllabus area D, followed up by another certainty in AAA. Your AAA examiner will always test one complete 25 mark question exclusively from the syllabus area E. Syllabus area E. E stands for exclusive. Exclusive question means no other syllabus area such as A, B, C, D will be amalgamated in that question. So that question will be solely focused on syllabus area E. Now that's a huge call. It means as a AAA student, I must ensure that my syllabus area E is absolutely well prepared. And that is why I will give you my top 10 questions relevant to the syllabus area E. Although there are 20 or more available through the LMS, but I will just give you top 10, which covers everything. So the total is 5 questions for the syllabus areas A, B, C, followed up by 10 questions for area D, which are full 50 mark questions, followed up by another 10 questions, which are again 25 mark question each. Then we have got other assignments along with the current issues and developments. And this is going to be the fourth and the final stage where I will give you just top 5 questions. And this is how we will cover top 30 questions. And those top 30 questions will cover the entire syllabus. Exam format, I'm sure everyone is clear. Question number 1, 40 technical marks, which also includes 3 technical marks for the materiality, followed up by 10 professional skill marks. And within the section B, there will be 2 questions having same format, 20 technical marks plus 5 professional skills marks. What about the pass rates of AAA? Well, this is the best time to attempt the AAA exam because the pass rates of AAA are on the rise. So December 25, it was 38%. And March 2026, it was 42%. So finally, in this year, AAA has crossed the threshold of 40% and it has gone way beyond 40 because 42 is a very, very good number for the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam. Okay, moving forward towards one of the most important part, and with the help of this part, I will be finishing the stage 1 of the today's lecture. Why, if 40% students are going to pass the exam, those 60% are going to fail the exam. But why? Is there any particular reason? Are there any common characteristics among the failures? Absolutely. So I started my ACCA teaching back in 2010. I started teaching AA in 2013, the first session of 2014 to be precise. And I started teaching AAA after investing 4 to 5 years on AA. So back in 2017 or early 18. So it's been a long journey and I've invested my time on one thing, just to understand how to pass the exam, how to avoid the failure. What are the common characteristics among the failures? What makes a student shine? So with the help of all that years of experience, I've reached this conclusion that one of the most common reason among the AAA failure is poor time management. So a student was well prepared for the 100 mark. He or she knew everything. He or she could have answered every exam requirement, but time management was a killer issue. Now, how can you overcome the time management issue? More practice. Lack of practice is not equal to lack of knowledge or lack of concepts. But if your concepts and your knowledge is more than sufficient, it's fantastic, it's adequate, still you can end up failing the paper because of lack of practice. Now, when I say lack of practice, it means A, you got to work on your typing speed. B, you got to make sure you are familiar with the words, phrases which are commonly used in the exam. So as I've mentioned, the position holder from India, and I'm sure you are going to watch the interview right after this session. She said, I kept on practicing top 30 questions again and again. So if there is anyone who feels lost somewhere during the, when he or she is solving the paper or a question, you got to solve the same set of questions again and again, again and again. And as a result of that, your typing speed will improve, your thinking power will improve, your expression of writing will improve. You will be in a great position to score the professional skilled marks as well. You will not overwrite, you will not underwrite. So it will give you a lot of benefit. So don't just read the questions, don't just attend my lectures. Attend my lecture, absolutely. Absorb my drafting technique, indeed. But after that, yes, read my drafted answer. But at the end of the day, you got to type it. Even if you have to take help from my drafted answer, but you got to type it again and again. There is no substitute for hard work. Don't idealize the ideal answers. Many self-study students would approach me after 3-4 attempts, and when I will ask them few questions that what was their approach, so they will tell me that we are trying our level best to write the way ACCA has drafted their answers, using the past papers. Well, those are ideal answers. If a question has got maximum 18 marks, ACCA has drafted an answer for more than 35, sometimes 38, 40 marks. Maximum marks available are 18. And if you have got the skills to perform an audit of the ACCA answer, that is 18 multiplied by 2, 36, sometimes 35, sometimes 38 mark answer. So is it helpful for the sake of concepts? Yes. Is it helpful for better understanding? Yes. But is it helpful for the sake of exam technique? Absolutely no. So don't idealize the ideal answers. Instead of that, try and understand the drafting technique, which I will teach you, and practice top 30 questions according to my drafting technique, and do it twice or thrice. Do not ignore syllabus area B, ethics, and do not ignore syllabus area F, other assignments. Well, please focus on the drafting technique. I'm going to skip the assignment or test part as of now because we are officially entering the revision course now, and attempt at least 3 mocks. Mocks will make you prepare. Mocks will make you prepare for the final exam. Mock means you are getting used to the mental and physical torture. If you will not attempt the mock exam, you will not be in a position to fight on the final exam day, irrespective of the fact how good or how extraordinary your exam preparation is. At the end of the day, those 3 hours, 15 minutes, they are painful. They require mental strength. They require you to stay calm, even if there is a question which seems an awkward one, a question which seems to be, something you have never answered before. But a calm mind will cross the line. Now, who's going to stay calm, even if you are mentally and physically drained? Someone who has practiced the same phenomena before. So it's going to be about the test of your nerves. And if you want to have the nerve of steel, there is only one option, and that is to attempt multiple mocks under strict exam conditions, and only then you can shine on the final exam day. And it's not about just attempting the mock exam, it's about getting your mock marked as well, getting the feedback as well. Okay, so here we go. This is it. I am done with the stage one. As I've mentioned earlier, we have got 3 stages for the today's session. I'm done with the stage one. I hope you enjoyed the stage one. I hope you learned something. And the learning outcome of the stage one is top 30 questions, drafting technique. It's not about just attending the lectures. It's about absorbing the drafting technique. It's about doing the practice. And when I say practice, don't idealize the ideal answer. Rather, idealize or try and copy my answers. And last, but surely not the least, one of the most important learning outcome from the stage one is you got to watch the interview of the position holder from India who scored a massive 78. 78 in AAA is as good as 90, 95 in SBR, or 95 or 97 in tax or FR, or even 90, 92 in AFM, because AAA is a discussion-based paper and it's really difficult to pull off such a massive score. So I'm done with the stage one, wishing you good luck, and let's move forward towards the stage two. Stage two, here I come. Okay, now stage two. As I mentioned earlier as well, from tomorrow morning, I am starting my AAA revision batch, also known as the crash course. Now, how are you going to approach the revision course? Well, first of all, once you will join my revision batch, you will be part of the exclusive WhatsApp group. More importantly, you will have access to all the important recorded lectures. And for this particular quarter, the live sessions which you have missed, because we had multiple live sessions till date, those live sessions which you missed, all those live sessions along with all the important recorded lectures, everything would be available to you through the VIFHE LMS. Let's talk about the future now. 5th and 6th May, we have got webinars. So I'm discussing the important dates. 12th May to 14th May, 3 days, 3 important live sessions. And in those live sessions, I will be discussing the most recent ACCA past paper, the one which is not even available through the exam kit because it's the latest one, exclusively available through the ACCA practice platform. So we are going to have 3 straight sessions, 12th May, 13th May, followed up by 14th May. And if there is anyone who's going to miss the live session because of a complicated or a different time zone, you will always get the recording within the next 8 to 10 hours through the VIFHE LMS. Okay, then another important thing, we will have, I will give you a plan from 18th or 19th May to 31st May. That plan will be shared later on. We will have the mock debrief session on 25th May. Your final exam is on 1st June. Okay, let's move forward. Now, what about the plan? Stage 1, 6th and 7th May, you got to cover stage 1 of your syllabus. Now, what's the stage 1? Stage 1 is about syllabus areas A, B, and C. Important lectures which must be attended: Ethics Knockout Punch 1, Ethics Knockout Punch 2, followed up by lecture on quality management. These 3 lectures are extremely important and you cannot skip them. Once you are done with these 3 lectures over 6th and 7th May, you need to practice these 5 questions. Each one of them is a 25-mark question. Pickle is on ethics. Welford is a blend of ethics along with quality management. James is quality management. Forsythia is a quality management along with ethics. Thomason is about money laundering. So these are the first 5 questions relevant to the syllabus areas ABC. Then 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th May. Syllabus area D, audit risk, business risk of material misstatement, Encore, Magenta, Winberry, Mercurio, Hart, Adams Pale, Speedy Style Company, Mistral. Mistral is a question which is not available in any exam kit. In fact, Speedy Style Company is also not available in any exam kit because these are the latest past paper questions exclusively available on the practice platform. Then stage 3, syllabus area E, which is about completion, review and reporting, 12, 13, 14, 3 days, 10 questions. Mind you, each and every question has got 25 marks. Kilmister to Phoenix Company. Phoenix Company is again September, December 2025 question, the latest one. All these lectures would be available through the LMS. Syllabus area F and G, another 5 questions, and that makes your top 30. So with the help of these top 30 questions, you will be in a great position to attempt the mock exam, which is going to be on Sunday, 17th May. You might wonder why 17th May? Why not 25th May? Because it takes about 7 to 10 days to honestly and critically mark the mock exam, and that is why it takes time, and that is why the mock is not on 25th or 26th, rather it's on 17th. So for the last 11-12 days, starting from 18th May or maybe 19th May, or worst come scenario from 20th May to 31st May, I will definitely give you a plan, and trust me on that. That plan will not cover or will not hit anything new. That plan will be more or less a repetition of the same plan. So don't worry, it's not on 19th or 20th May, I will come up with new set of 20, 25 questions. Not at all. Not even 5 extra questions. Not at all. So prepare all top 30 questions in the exact sequence given above. That sequence is well planned. Ideally speaking, you should type each question twice, exactly the way I have typed it. You got to attend today's session, followed up by tomorrow's session, all the live sessions which you have missed and which will happen in the future, the mock exam, the mock debrief session, and as a result of that, I'm sure you will shine like a bright star on Monday, 1st June 2026. So this is it. I am done with the stage 2 of this session, and now I am moving forward towards the third and the final stage. And the third and final stage, yes, the new master file for the June 2026 is available now. Once I'm done with this session, you don't have to ask. I will share the new master file along with the revision batch plan, along with that link of that interview. I will personally share everything in all the WhatsApp groups. I am usually very active and usually, should I say, almost available at any point of time through the WhatsApp. So I will personally do this. Don't worry. Now it's time for me to move towards the third and the final stage. But before I move towards the third and the final stage, and because that stage is going to be really important, that stage can actually make you score 20 out of 20, or maybe if business risk is also part of your exam, you can actually end up scoring 30 out of 30. So safely speaking, I would say the next 1 or 1.5 hour can make you score 25 out of 25. So before I actually start the third and the final stage of the today's session, let me go towards the chat box and check it out if there is anything which is important. If someone is having any kind of concern, here is your opportunity, because after that, I will not check out the chat box for a for a good half an hour. Okay, so far I've got one. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for the comments on the last assignment. I wish all other tutors were so deep. Every tutor, I believe, has got their own strengths and weaknesses. So is the case with me. Which group can you share the link? Yes. If you want to join, if you want to join the free global group, if you don't want to join my batch, but still want to join the free global WhatsApp group, I've shared the link in the chat box. Join. If you want to join the batch, then don't join this free global group. Well, you can still join the free global group if you want to, but more importantly, you need to join the exclusive WhatsApp group for the enrolled students. But if you are 100% sure that you don't want to join the batch, well, it's okay. I'm sure you have got your own reasons. So still you can join my free global group. I've shared the link, and that group, in that, using that group, I will share the PDFs and everything what you're looking for. When can we join the revision course group? Well, first of all, you have to join the revision course. If you are already part of the regular or the reset batch, you are already covered. Forget that. If there is anyone who is doing self-study till date and wants to join my AAA June 2026 revision batch, well, you got to check out the website, get yourself enrolled for the revision course, and then you will be in a position to join the WhatsApp group. Okay, hang on. Let me start from the scratch. So, thank you very much, Miss Young. You are absolutely right. Thank you for your kind words. So, I was saying that as a tutor, I believe for AA and AAA, if a student has prepared 100 questions for a topic called audit risk, maybe he or she is writing everything, you know, maybe her, maybe the student is overwriting, maybe the student is underwriting, maybe the student believes that he or she is writing in the right direction, but this is not the actual case. So for a paper such as AA and AAA, it is extremely important to have someone who's going to mark your script. So that is why, that is how I produce results. So I put in a lot of effort for that. Thank you for acknowledging the effort. Thank you very much. Which group? Oh yeah, Shagufta, I think I've already answered your question. Hello, sir. Please share this PDF after the session. You are covered. Don't worry. Can we get the list of the top 30 questions? Yes, you will get the PDF. Don't worry, sir. Can you please share? Yes, you will get it. Okay. Can you please share the PDF, sir? When is the next assignment? Well, we'll talk about it in the. It's over the next weekend, by the way. I have a question on the extract financial statement. What is the difference between the projected and actual figures which are given in the question on area D? Actual figure means today is 1st July 20x5. That is going to be the case for every full 50 mark question. So for the year ended 30th September 20x4, those are your actual results from the last year. But for the current year for which you are going to be the auditor, the year end is yet to occur. Today is 1st July 20x5. So the client's year end would be 30th September. So yes, 9 months have gone, but 3 months are still left. So the financial statements which the client will present or the examiner will present in front of you, the client, the finance director has presented in front of the engagement partner, and the engagement partner has shared those financial statements with you in the form of an email. You cannot call them historical financial statements because 9 months have gone, but the client has produced a complete set of financial statement for the entire year. That is why we call them projected, because the last 3 months are yet to unfold themselves. Is this clear? I hope I've cleared your query. Is this clear? When can we join the revision course group? I've already answered the question. You can go to the website right after this session. If there is a problem, you can always contact me. Otherwise, I'm sure after a few hours, I think many students have joined. I'm sure it's live now. Otherwise, from tomorrow morning, it's definitely live. Hello, sir. Please, can you show again the area E, F, and G questions? Don't worry, I will share the PDF. Don't worry. Yes, you will get the PDF. Can we have a 10-minute break? I can have a 5-minute break, but I'm writing APM along with AAA in June. Can you advise how to allocate my time in the next 3 weeks? Are you a full-time student? Are you working? I need more details. Yes, sir. Now it's clear. That's great. Hello, sir. Hi. In exam question that require audit procedures, is it acceptable to include data analytic procedures as part of our answer? I would say don't go for it unless somehow, somewhere, the question tells you that the client has requested for data analytical procedures, or you know you've got a clear indication by the examiner that you have to use softwares and the data analytical tools. Otherwise, keep it simple. I hope I've answered each and every query. Can I move forward now? If I will have multiple yes, thank you, welcome. So guys, can I have multiple yes? Thank you, Ruj. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Okay, that's great. That's great. Thank you. That's the spirit. I am an internal auditor and tend to write internal auditing test steps where you check on the. Okay. Well, to be very honest, my advice number one would be that you need to attend my lectures called Substantive Procedures Knockout Punch 1, 2, 3, 4. All four are available through the LMS. And after a few days, I will be having Substantive Procedures Knockout Punch 5. With the help of those lectures, your mindset will automatically shift from being an internal auditor towards external auditor. It's a given, it's a sure short thing. Moreover, I think top 30 questions will help. Guys, uh, let's have a break of just 5 minutes. I don't think so. That we deserve a 15 or a 10-minute break. Let's have a break for just 5 minutes before I actually start something absolutely crazy. And that is what? I am going for the drafting technique of audit risk, followed up by drafting technique of business risk. And there is something absolutely new in the AAA June 2026 master file, and it's called Answer Fix Framework. Now, what is Answer Fix Framework? This is something new. I've never introduced it before. Answer Fix Framework will make you realize what mistakes, failures are committing and what needs to be avoided. And it's not going to be vague or generic data. Rather, it's going to be actual answers, actual mistakes committed by the students all around the globe. So it's going to be extremely worth it. And it's not going to be a 2-3 hour lecture. It's going to be 1.25 hour lecture, but it's going to be absolutely crazy. So your 5-minute break starts right now. It's 7:58, well, 7:59, let's call it 8 p.m. UAE time right now. It's 8 p.m. UAE time right now. So I will resume after 5-6 minutes. So I hope you will stay. Take care. See you in 5 minutes. Okay. So guys, let's start the third and the final stage. The third and the final stage of this particular session, where I would like to explore and I would like to discuss two extremely important things. Number one, audit risk, and to be precise, risk of material misstatement. So, yes, we all know there are two components of audit risk. 90-95% audit risk are precisely or exactly risk of material misstatement. But yes, if the examiner has asked for audit risk rather than risk of material misstatement, it means you will have some, maybe one or two detection risk as well. So for this particular lecture, whenever I say audit risk, I am focusing on risk of material misstatement rather than detection risk. And then I will also discuss business risk. So what about audit risk? What about risk of material misstatement? Guys, if I want to, I can teach you audit risk for the next 1 hour. If I want to, I can have a discussion on inherent risk, control risk, which amalgamates into risk of material misstatement over the next 1 hour. I can keep on discussing detection risk over the next 1 hour. So I can discuss so many things in relation to those individual risks. But to be very honest, it is important to know the basic knowledge and the basic concepts in relation to risk of material misstatement, detection risk, and audit risk. And it is far, far, far more important to understand the drafting technique. Is there any drafting technique? Now, when I say drafting technique, I mean to say, is there any steps which a student should always apply? I repeat, let me repeat it once again. Let me highlight it once again. Drafting technique means, is there any step? Is there any methodology which a student can always apply to a particular question, to any given question? The answer is yes. I've got my drafting techniques for ethics, for procedures, for completion review and reporting questions such as mere approach question. And I've got the drafting technique covered for the risk of material misstatement. Step number one, you will identify the information, or should I say, you will identify the risk of material misstatement from the question paper. If the data or the information allows you to discuss materiality, go on and discuss the materiality as well. But sometimes there will be financial information available. Sometimes there will be no financial information. So materiality is, if applicable, step. Sometimes you can actually write a sentence on materiality. Sometimes there is no information. Well, in that case, forget about the materiality. Well, let me tell you, there are 3 technical marks in relation to materiality. The first technical mark would be awarded to you as a candidate on Monday, 1st June 2026, when you will rightly calculate the lower and the higher threshold. The second mark in relation to materiality will be awarded to the candidate when the candidate is going to justify what he or she has chosen. The beautiful part about this second mark is I can select the higher threshold, I can come up with an appropriate justification, and the examiner will give me 1 mark for that. And the guy sitting next to me, solving the same paper on the same day, might select some different threshold, like it be the lower threshold or somewhere in between the lower and the higher threshold. And if he or she is going to come up with an appropriate justification for whatever he has chosen or she has chosen, the examination team will also give 1 mark to that student as well. So it means, according to the AAA examiner, there is no one definite answer when it comes to the justification. There is no one fixed answer. Calculate the lower and the higher threshold correctly, you will get your first mark. Choose a number. It could be a lower, it could be higher, it could be somewhere in between the two. You will not get marks because you have chosen a number. You will get the second mark when you will provide a reasonable justification against the choice which you have made. Third and the final mark would be awarded to the candidate once the candidate will apply the chosen materiality level throughout the answer. Now, when I say throughout the answer, it means probably examiner will come up with at least 2 scenarios or 2 situations or 2 risks where financial information is applicable, it is available, and you can use the chosen materiality and you can discuss the materiality using a sentence. So if you will do so, you will get your third and the final mark in relation to the materiality as well. I hope everyone is absolutely clear with respect to those 3 marks. And if that is the case, please just write yes, 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 so that I am sure that all of you are absolutely clear in relation to the materiality. Yes, materiality could be due to nature as well. Not its materiality. Okay, let me say this extremely important statement. Materiality is not just a financial concern. It is not always a pure financial concern. Yes, indeed, there are things which are considered material by nature as well, or well, material by nature. So, irrespective of their financials, they are considered as material. Uh, Sayyid Mohammed, you are worried about your exam. I'm worried about your exam as well. We'll talk about it through the WhatsApp. Okay. Uh, or maybe I will answer your query at the end of the session. Just post it all over again at the end of the session in the chat box. How do you get the third mark on materiality? The first mark will be awarded to the candidate, and that first mark, well, those 3 marks are technical marks, not the professional skill marks. So it's very important to score those 3 marks in relation to materiality. First mark would be awarded to the candidate when the candidates are going to correctly calculate the lower and the higher threshold as per the request of the partner according to the exhibit 1. Okay. Second mark would be awarded to the candidate once the candidate will provide a fair and a reasonable justification for the chosen materiality level. So maybe I chose 1 million and maybe you selected 2 million. And both the students, me and you, we provided reasonable justification against the chosen materiality threshold. Examiner will give credit to both the students. If your justification is rubbish, obviously you are not going to get mark. So it has to be a fair and a reasonable justification. The third and the final mark in relation to the materiality will be awarded to those candidates, those while answering different risk of material misstatement, they will actually discuss materiality. Now, you can't use or discuss the materiality when there is no financial information available. So what I'm trying to say is that out of 5 or 6 risk of material misstatement in our past paper question, I think examiner will come up with at least 2 events where the financial information is actually available and you can always discuss, or you have got the opportunity to discuss the materiality. You can say that this underlying impairment expense of 3 million is well above the materiality threshold of 1 million. See, this is how you can score your third and the final mark in relation to materiality. In case materiality is already given by the partner in ROMM question, do we need to include pair on materiality? Well, in that case, your job is finished. Obviously, you don't have to calculate the lower and the higher threshold. Why would you justify your choice? Because you're not making the choice. The partner has already done that for you. Well, that eliminates a lot of things. But to be very honest, that can happen in question 2 or 3, where you don't have to apply the wrap mnemonic 0.5% to 1% of revenue, 1% to 2% of asset, because the partner or your examiner has already chosen a number. For the question number 1, partner will give you what criteria needs to be used, and then you have to come up with your calculation, justification, and application. What are the list of IFRS standards to be learned for the exam? Just learn whatever it is available in my top 30 questions in my drafted answers. No need to go through any IFRS notes. And always make sure your message is a direct message so that everyone can read it. Thank you very much, guys. I think I'm already done with the chat box. Where can I find the top 30 questions? I will share them after this session through the WhatsApp group. What about the WhatsApp group? Well, you can join my batch and you can be part of the exclusive WhatsApp group. If you don't want to join the batch, no worries. You can join the free global WhatsApp group. Where is the free global WhatsApp group? Check out the chat box right now. Okay, let's proceed. Let's not focus on the chat box now. Okay, guys, how are we going to write the risk of material misstatement? Step number 1, we will identify the risk of material misstatement from the question paper, from the exhibit 2, 3, or maybe 4. Step number 2, we will discuss the materiality. You can always interchange the step 1 and step 2. Step number 3, the backbone of your answer. You got to develop the point. Now, when I say develop the point, I mean to say whatever you have identified from the question paper, now you need to discuss A, the accounting standard applicable over the information. B, you have to express your professional skepticism. You have to express your apprehension. You have to discuss why you think that the client's accounting treatment could be wrong, or maybe the client's accounting treatment is wrong. So when I say step number 3, develop the point, it means there are two parts. Part 1, you got to write what the standard says, and then you got to write why there is a risk. Why there is a risk of non-compliance with the same standard which you have just stated. Many AAA students would write a different accounting standard as compared to what they will discuss in the why there is a risk. You got to make sure the standard which you have discussed and why there is a risk of non-compliance, they are interconnected with each other. Last but surely not the least, you got to end your answer with the last step, which is about impact. Impact on the financial statement items. Which item would be over and which item would be understated. This is how you structure and this is how you write your answer. Let me give you a quick example. September 2022. The name of the past paper is Winberry. Guys, let me tell you, September 2022 was the first ever attempt with the new exam format having 80 technical and 20 professional skills marks. So whenever somebody asks me, how do I make my top 30 questions? I try and make the best use of the past papers starting from September 2022, followed up by December 2022, and then March, June 2023, then September, December 2023, then March, June 2024, then September, December 2024, then March, June 2025, last but surely not the least, September, December 2025. These are the past papers which make my top 30. These are the past papers which are extremely important. And these are the past papers. For these papers, you must read the examiner report as well if you want to enjoy an extra push of 5 marks. So, Winberry, September 2022, a latest past paper question. The question says, the information available in the question says that the company has got, I believe, 5 warehouses, and one of the warehouse, it got completely damaged because of the fire. Guys, please listen to me. In January 20x5, which means during the year, because today is 1st July 20x5, the client's year end is after 3 months on 30th September 20x5. There was a fire where in one of the company's warehouse, they've got 5 warehouses. One of the warehouse was completely destroyed. The premises was finished. It turned into ashes. Now, the question says, the information available in the question says, the finance director has decided not to write down the carrying value of the warehouse. That's strange. The question says, one of the warehouse has turned into ashes, but the finance director seems to be an alien, or he has decided not to write down the property. Why? Obviously, as an auditor, I will ask him or her, Mr. Finance Director or Miss Finance Director, why are you not going to write down the property, plant, and equipment? Why you are not going to write it off as an expense? It's over, man. It's burnt. It's done. The finance director says he's confident that the insurance will cover everything, and that is why the finance director has decided not to write off the property, plant, and equipment. Now, if your basic accounting is present, I'm not asking you to be an expert of FR exam or SBR exam. If you have got your basic accounting covered, what do you think? Is this the right approach adopted by the finance director when he has decided not to write off the property plant equipment, although it has been completely destroyed? Finance director believes because insurance policy will cover everything, I'm not going to write it off. That's rubbish. And this is against the basic accounting. Insurance, well, if it is covered, well, that's a separate transaction and it is going to be separately accounted for. As of now, that property plant equipment needs to be written off. So I've got my first step. I've identified the information from the question paper. Now let's talk about the materiality. Well, please trust me on that. The carrying value of that one warehouse is also available in the question, and the carrying amount of the fire damaged warehouse is way above the chosen materiality level of 4 million. So you have you have applied the first step. You have identified the information. You have discussed the materiality. Now comes the big fish. Step number 3. There are 2 layers. Layer 1, you need to write the standard. Layer 2, you need to discuss why there is a risk of non-compliance with the accounting standard. Now, according to IAS 36 impairment of assets, an asset must be tested for impairment when there is an indicator which suggests that the carrying value might be greater than the recoverable amount. And we all know that the recoverable amount is the higher of fair value less cost to sell and the value in use. Now, the damage to the warehouse must trigger an impairment review according to IAS 36. Finance director has wrongly assumed that the warehouse insurance negates the need to perform the impairment test. The warehouse has been completely destroyed and there is no fair value less cost to sell. Forget about the value in use. So effectively speaking, the carrying value is overstated by the same carrying value. The non-current assets are overstated by the same carrying value because effectively speaking, there is no recoverable amount whatsoever. So if finance director does not agree, he is completely wrong with his assumptions, and as a result of that, the property, plant, and equipment is overstated by the carrying value by the same amount, and the impairment cost is understated. And you can always say the profit is overstated. You can either say impairment cost or impairment expense is understated, or you can say the profit is overstated. Guys, please try and realize I have to discuss what IAS 36 says, and then I have to discuss why there is a risk of non-compliance. I have to discuss when there is an indicator of impairment, an impairment test must be carried out. Finance director has wrongly believed that there is no need to carry out the impairment test. As per the information available in the question, there is no carrying value, there is no fair value less cost to sell. According to the information available in the question, there is no value in use because as per the question, according to the current condition, the warehouse is so badly damaged, everything is destroyed. So there is a clear-cut indicator which suggests that the director is applying wrong assumptions. Maybe the director is trying to hide the impairment expense. Maybe the director is trying to overstate the profits in the non-current assets. Lastly, the impact on the financial statement items. Guys, this is your drafting technique for the risk of material misstatement. Many detailed lectures are available through the LMS. Now, let's talk about business risk. Business risk is something which is all about the company. It's not about the auditor. Business risk means business will be facing trouble. They will be in a position where they will not achieve their goals and their objectives. So what about the drafting technique of business risk? You will identify the information from the question paper and you will get no marks for that. But when you will discuss how that information will create trouble for the company, how this could lead to financial, non-financial, operational, regulatory, or reputational problem for the company, you will get your first mark. You will get your second mark for the business risk when you will discuss what additional financial, operational, reputational issues could be faced by the company. So one piece of information will create multiple problems. So maybe you need to discuss two negative consequences out of one piece of information. Or maybe you need to discuss one negative consequence, but you have to go in a sufficient detail to score your second mark. Never ever recommend anything while writing the business risk. You are not a business consultant. No, don't say management should do this, management should assess that, management needs to ensure this, the company must hire an expert. No, you are not going to write any recommendation. So avoid such things. Always discuss the possibilities of things going wrong in the future. Business risk is about future negative implications which will be faced by the business in the future. So there is a risk that this could result in, this may result in, the company could face, there is a possibility. So please try and understand while writing your business risk answer, never recommend anything to the management. Always discuss negative possible consequences, but for the future. Future has to be reflected in your answer. Okay. Always remember, business risk is something which is uncertain, something which can go wrong in the future. So maybe the company might not execute its strategy successfully in the future. So it is not something which has already happened. Business risk is a future uncertainty. So ACCA treats, your AAA examiner treats business risk as a future uncertainty. So for example, if in the first quarter of the accounting year, something bad happened and somehow management applied remedial actions and they are almost over it during the second or the third quarter, you cannot discuss that as a business risk. Business risk is something which has not already happened, not something already happened. This is something which can damage the company's success, not something which has already happened and management has somehow survived. No, it is something which can damage the company's survival, company's profitability, can damage the reputation, can damage the company's goals, but everything is can. So it's about the future. For example, the company might not meet its expansion plan because of the lack of funds. The company might face liquidity pressures because the company is struggling with few, issues, some legal issues. The company might not cope up with the new technology which is just around the corner, and maybe your client is not ready for that. The company is facing intense competition, not for the last 6 months or last 6 years. The company is now facing an intense competition and the company is not in a great competitive position. The company is facing regulatory fines or penalties, or the legal actions are going on. So there could be negative implications in the future. The company is having weak systems, and as a result of that, fraud or some legal action would happen in the future. So these things are very, very important. The detailed lecture where I've discussed these things, it is available through the LMS. So please try and understand, there are no marks for definition. You will only get mark when you will discuss the negative consequences in the future. And it means you need to evaluate and develop your point. You can't apply speculations. If there is no clear information about something available in the question, you can't say there is also a possibility that some legal action would take place. Is there any information about a particular breach of law or any legal action? If not, you can't speculate. You can't make up a business risk on your own. So always make sure that you write a good answer, and a good answer means there will be three layers in your business risk. You will identify the business risk using the information from the question. If you will say the company is expanding rapidly, it's not good enough. You need to write your answer in sufficient detail to make the marker realize that you truly understand what could go wrong in the future. So company, negative impacts on the business could be company's future profitability could be reduced. Company could face cash flow problems in the future. The company could face harm to their reputation in the future. The company could face regulatory fines and penalties. The company could have question marks over the going concern assumption. There are multiple lectures available through the VIFHE LMS where I've discussed business risk such as Hart Group, Hammer, Speedy Style Company, Winberry, Mercurio, and many, many more. So some of the very common business risk scenarios are the client is going to expand, their expansion strategy could fail, the company has acquired some other company, or the company has got a joint venture or something which cannot be as successful as one would expect. The company has launched a new product or a new service which go completely against the expectations. Or one of the most common one is your client has entered a new geographical or a new market, and that market or that territory is an alien one for the company. So there is a possibility the company might not generate good enough dividends, or that move might not end up being as productive as the company thinks. So these are a few very common important business risks, and these are strategic level risks. Similarly, the company could face liquidity problems, high gearing, or some loan covenant. These are financial business risks, very common in the exam. The company could have weak internal controls. The company is relying on obsolete technology, which could lead to the problems in the future. The company has got all sorts of issues in the supply chain. For example, due to certain due to certain due to any particular issue, let it be a pandemic, let it be a war going on, your supply chain could have question marks, and as a result of that, your product, your future sales, your future customer orders, everything could have huge question marks. Similarly, for example, in Winberry company, the client faced a data breach, which could lead to legal cost, which could lead to reputational damage. There could be an investigation against the company. The company could be fined. People or the customers are going to no longer trust the company. So these are the reputational risks. So these are very, very important things. Do not give the definition of the business risk. So this is it. I am done with the, yes, these are the most common business risk available in the exam. The detailed lecture is available through the VIFHE LMS. I am done with the business risk as well. Now I am moving towards, this is all very, very important. This is available in the new master file, and the lecture is available through the VIFHE LMS. Now I'm moving towards the last part, and it's called the answer fix framework. Now, before I actually start the answer fix framework, give me a second. Uh, Now, let's start the answer fix framework. Guys, if you can invest the next 30 to 40 minutes with 200% concentration, I bet my life on it, you will end up scoring 20 out of 20 in a risk of material misstatement question. As we speak, if you have practiced 5 or 10 questions on the same risk of material misstatement, you might be standing somewhere around 12 out of 20, maybe 8 out of 20, 10 out of 20, hardly 14 out of 20. But even if you are standing somewhere around 6 or 8 out of 20, if you can concentrate over the next 30 to 40 minutes, I'm sure you will reach the sky high number and you can end up scoring 20 out of 20. It is important for you to be at least somehow somewhat prepared for risk of material misstatement. If your prior knowledge for the question called, for a very obvious question called risk of material misstatement is 0%, well, in that case, it's a problem. Because with the help of the next 30 minutes, I will hold you up and I will make you jump from 6 out of 20 to 20 out of 20. But if you are standing somewhere around -1 or 0, it's a difficult call for me then. So please concentrate. I just need next 30 minutes and together we can start enjoying risk of material misstatement. This is a masterpiece. This is something which is pure gold. Risk of material misstatement, something which is absolutely certain in your final exam, something which is short shot, just like the syllabus area E. Why students score 6 out of 20, 4 out of 20, 8 out of 20, although they write so much while answering a risk of material misstatement question. So risk of material misstatement is something which everyone loves to attempt. This is something which a candidate who will score 30 out of 100 will attempt this part. Candidate who is going to somehow score 50 out of 100 will attempt that. And someone such as Akanksha, who scored 78 out of 100, she has definitely attempted and nailed this particular exam requirement. So this is something everyone will attempt. This is something everyone prepares. But why? Why 60% students will fail? Why students end up scoring below average marks in a question called risk of material misstatement? Let me take the help of March-June 2025 paper. It's called Speedy Style Company. And with the help of this article, with the help of next 30 minutes, let me make you jump from 6 or 4 out of 20 to 20 out of 20. In the next lecture, we will discuss complete Speedy Style Company. But hang on, this particular next 30 minutes, it's all about ROMM. Risk of material misstatement. Why this article is important, why the next 30 minutes are going to be the game changer. Risk of material misstatement is one of the highest weighted area. Now, why would I say highest weighted area? You might get procedures for 6 to 10 marks. You might get criticism of draft audit report for 6 to 8 marks. You might get impact on audit report for 4 to 5 marks. You might discuss or you might end up facing business risk for 6 to 8 marks. You might face ethics for 6 to 8 marks. You might face quality management for 10 to 12 or 14 marks. You might have to discuss what factors we need to consider before accepting a forensic audit or a prospective financial information assignment for 6 to 10 marks. But you will get a risk of material misstatement question for 18, 20, or maybe 22 and sometimes 24 marks, let alone the professional skills marks. I'm talking about the pure technical marks. So to be on the safe side, let me say 20 to 25% of your final exam out of 100 marks, it's about ROMM. So it has to be our strength rather than an average preparation. It has to be the strength. So risk of material misstatement is one of the highest weighted area in the AAA exam, and yet it is consistently where you guys, students, you guys are losing the marks. Then why? The Speedy Style Company from the March June 2025, the second most recent paper as we speak, it was attempted by several students. I actually issued this question as a mock exam, as a test. And this question offers a perfect case study for you. Most scripts identified the correct risk. Guys, can you recall the steps? Can you write down the 5 steps briefly in using the chat box? What were those 5 steps? Identification, materiality, accounting standard, why there is a... What were those 5 steps? Can you recall those 5 steps? There were this is important. Most scripts, thank you very much, that's the spirit. Most scripts identified the correct risk. It means my AAA students are having no problem whatsoever. They can actually pick up the information from the question paper. They are good. They even discuss the materiality appropriately. So step 1, okay. Step 2, okay. You can always swap the step 1 and step 2. Majority of the student, they even quote the right standard. Sometimes I would say 80% students, they discuss the correct standard. 20% students correct the incorrect standard and the game is over. Majority students, they discuss the correct standard as well. And similarly, 80% students, or the greater majority of the student, they discuss the impact correctly as well. So they discuss this item would be overstated, this item would be understated. So guys, can I ask you, where is the problem then? I'm checking out the chat box now. I'm saying 80% students are good with respect to the identification. 80% students or more are good with the materiality. 80% students are good with the accounting standard. 90% students are good when it comes to the impact on the financial statement. Then what is going wrong? Guys, thank you very much for your active participation in the chat box. The bad news is, and I'm saying it with all the experience and the trainings and the hard work I put in, if your why there is a risk is rubbish, you will get no marks whatsoever. Please have patience. And when I say, Mahima, when I say develop the point, there are 2 layers. Discuss the relevant accounting standard and then discuss why you think that there is a risk of non-compliance with that standard. Now, if you have correctly identified the risk, correctly discussed the materiality, correctly discussed the standard, and if you will skip why there is a risk, if you will not discuss why there is a risk of non-compliance with the relevant standard, you will end up ruining everything. Please try and understand. Many students still end up scoring 0 marks because, please concentrate, I need 25 more minutes. This is because when your answer leaves out one specific component, and that specific component is why there is a risk. Which component? The one the examiner is quietly waiting for. Well, the rest of the paragraph, the rest of the answer, you have typed so much, it is not sufficient to make you pass the exam. Please try and understand, the rest of the paragraph cannot pull the marks by itself, because actually your AAA examiner is looking forward to one thing, and that is why there is a risk. So please concentrate. This article, the next 30 minutes, will dissect 9 real answers attempted by the AAA students for the paper March-June 2025. The question is called Speedy Style Company. It's available in the master file. And I will share the answers drafted by the students with the or against the examiner's expected answer. So please try and understand what I'm about to do. I will show you answer drafted by a student, and I will let you know what mistake the student has committed. And I will keep on doing so. I will make you realize how many different ways exist through which students are going to score nothing, although they will write a lot. So by the end of this session, if you will concentrate over the next 30 minutes, at the end of the session, over the next 24 hours, you can pick up your own script. Write down the answer for hammer, write down the answer for heart, or most importantly, write down the answer for speedy style company, and you can self-mark your script. I will give you a 5-part test. It's going to be, you can run down your answer and you can see for yourself, and you can walk through your answer, and you can evaluate whether you will end up scoring marks or no. So what are those 5 components? What are those 5 components which the AAA examiner is looking for? By the way, these 5 components are essential. There are marks attached to it. So it's not optional to write on why there is a risk. It's not optional to discuss accounting. These are important. Now, what are those 5 components? Step number 1 or component number 1, get some information from the question. If you want to, use the copy paste technique. If you don't want to, okay, type it if you have got an electrifying speed, but you have to extract or you have to have something from the question paper. According to the examiner, the weightage is minimal. It's on a very lower side, but it will help you in getting some professional skill mark. So get some information from the question. So check out your answer. Have you extracted some information from the question paper? That's your component number 1. And if it is possible, discuss the materiality as well. It's a if applicable step, if applicable component. Okay, component number 2, which has to be there in every question. You must write what the relevant accounting standard says. For example, IAS 2 about inventory, IAS 36 about impairment, and whatever it is. The weightage is on a medium side. It's not the highest level of weightage, but still it's important. If you miss the name or the number of the accounting standard, it's all right. But if you can, it's okay. But you need to write what the standard says. Component number 3, or should I say component number 4? Component number 1, you need to identify the information from the question. Component number 2, you need to discuss materiality if it is possible. Component number 3, you need to discuss the relevant accounting standard or the rule. Component number 4, why there is a risk. You can't simply say there is a risk of management bias. No. Risk of management bias is a separate component, again, if applicable component. Why there is a risk means you must write why you think that the management's accounting treatment is not in line with the standard. What the standard says and what do you think the client is doing, why there is a contradiction. This is the pillar of your answer. If you miss this part, you will end up scoring nothing at all. So this is extremely important. If a student will say there is a risk of management bias, examiner will give no credit. If the student will say there is a risk of management bias or risk of manipulation, you will not get marks for that. you must justify why you think there is a risk of management bias, such as give me something because the planned listing is on the cards, or the directors have got their bonuses attached with the financial result. So you need to explain and you need to prove that indeed there is a risk of management bias. Last but surely not the least, the last component is you need to write which components would be under or overstated. So this is the framework through which you can run down your answer and you can self-mark your script as well. The pillar of the answer is why is there is a risk. Please listen to me very carefully. The next 1 minute or 2 minutes are very important. One of the most important pillar, one of the most important component is why is there a risk? When I say why is there is a risk, that's the foundation of your answer. You must discuss why you think that the client's accounting treatment is wrong. You must discuss why you think that there is a risk of non-compliance with the standard. You must give the reason. Without this, your identification becomes description and you will score nothing. Without why there is a risk, your accounting rule becomes decoration. There is no value for that. And without why there is a risk, even if you will write the impact on the financial statement item, the markers will treat it as a guess. They will say he or she has not justified. We are not going to give the credit just for the sake of discussing this item would be overstated, this item would be understated. So every student needs to write why there is a risk. Otherwise, you will not score anything at all. Now, guys, last 15 minutes, and you can actually have a jump from 6 or 8 out of 20 to 20 out of 20. So please concentrate. All around the globe, AAA students are committing three common mistakes. There are 3 mistakes committed by the AAA students when they write risk of material misstatement. I've already shared my point of view that 80-90% students are damn good when it comes to identification of the risk. 90% students are good. They are good when it comes to writing the relevant accounting standard. They are good when it comes to writing the impact on the financial statement. So it means the problem is strictly or exclusively focused on why there is a risk. But still, broadly speaking, there are 3 recurring mistakes. Okay, mistake number 1. When a student will start solving a risk of material misstatement, he or she has to absorb a lot of information using exhibit 2, 3, and 4, sometimes 5 as well. Sometimes, please try and understand that's the common or a recurring mistake number 1 committed by students like yourself. Treating routine transaction as a risk of material misstatement. Let me explain. Take it easy. Take it easy. Routine transaction means something which is going on in the company as an ordinary operation. Routine transaction means something which is going on in the company for many, many years. So routine transaction means something which has not developed recently, something which is not new during the year, something which is going on. For example, if the examiner tells you with the help of the question, for example, that the company always uses a third-party supply chain or a delivery network. So this is something going on in the company for the last 3, 4, 5 years. So this is something which is routine transaction, something which is routine in nature. The company is carrying out similar activity for many years. So it does not represent any new development. Your focus should be on new events arising during the year, because you are auditing the current year's financial statements. So anything which started 4 years ago I'm sure 4 years ago, the auditor has evaluated and identified that as a risk. It's sorted and addressed now. It's less significant now. In contrast, or on the contrary to that, any matter arising during the current year, they are far, far, far more relevant for the auditor. Something which is new for the company, something new for the auditor, something which is not resolved as yet. A legal action started during the year, but not resolved till date. So please try and understand one of the most common mistake which the students are committing all around the globe is they are focusing on something which is a routine transaction, and they are just eager to extract that information and treat it as a risk. The examiner expects from the candidates to focus on new or unusual matters. So if you have attempted speedy style company, the March June 2025 question, you can attempt that question tonight. You will realize by reading the exhibit 2 and 3 that during the year something new happened. Management has decided that instead of 50% of the last month's revenue as a refund liability, they will drop it down to 40% of the last month's revenue. Is this something new which is also unusual? Is this something which never happened in the last or the second last or the third last year? Absolutely yes. This year, out of nowhere, without appropriate justification or some supporting evidence, management has decided to reduce the refund liability from 50% to the 40% without any supporting evidence. Is this new event? Yes. Is this unusual? Yes. For example, if you have tried Speedy Style Company, you will realize using Exhibit 2, the client has purchased a brand during the year. I'm not saying the client purchased a brand 4 years ago. If my client purchased a brand 4 years ago, I'm sure 4 years ago or 3 years ago, auditor would have treated it as something new and the auditor would have applied procedures on the same. And I'm sure auditor would have considered it as a significant risk of material misstatement at that point of time, but not anymore. The purchase of an overpriced brand during the year, is this a new event? Yes. Is this something which raises the eyebrows of the auditor? Yes, because they have purchased an overpriced brand. So there is a clear indication of impairment. Moreover, the question says the client has decided not to amortize the acquired brand. What do I mean by not to amortize the brand? Well, if according to IS 38, if the asset has got indefinite useful life, okay, fine, don't amortize it. But as an auditor, I will not blindly trust the narrative expressed by the management that the brand has got indefinite useful life. I will look for further evidence. Maybe there is a risk that the brand has got a definite useful life, and the assumption that the brand has got indefinite useful life, and as a result of that, there is no need to amortize. Maybe all this is not appropriate, and as a result of that, the year-end intangible asset would be overstated and amortization expense would be understated. Never happened before. The question says, during this year, the company is facing all sorts of problems. The company is having or facing delays in inventory. Maybe the port is closed. Maybe the shipping is not going on smoothly. I don't know. During this year, the question categorically says delays in inventory during the year. Definitely it will create a business risk. But as of now, I'm speaking about ROMM. This will definitely create a risk of material misstatement because this year, the client is facing delays in inventory, which could lead to impaired inventory. We all know IS2 is all about valuing the inventory at the lower of cost or NRV. Those items because of the delay, might get obsolete, damaged. They might need to be written off. Maybe the recoverable amount for the inventory or NRV of the inventory is below the cost, which means the client needs to make an adjustment. There is a risk that the client has not made that relevant adjustment. So these are the points which are available in the June 2025 paper, and all these are new or unusual matters. So definitely we will discuss these issues. These matters are non-routine, never happened before. These are the matters occurred during the current period, not these matters did not happen in the second last or the last year. Therefore, these are going to be my primary focus while writing an answer for this particular question. So the summary is mistake number one committed by the students all around the globe. They tend to focus on everything, which should not be the case. You got to focus on new events. You got to focus on non-routine events. You got to focus on unusual events. Don't focus on routine, long-standing operational matters. What do I mean by long-standing operational matters? The company has always used a third-party network for the sake of deliveries. It's okay. They are doing it for ages now. So that was the mistake number one committed by the students all around the globe. Guys, let's go for the second mistake which students tend to commit. And it's not about this particular question. I'm not talking about speedy style company. It's about every AAA top 10 question, every full 50-mark question. And this is my favorite part of the lecture. 99% of the AAA students end up missing why there is a risk. Students are in love with the identification. Greater majority are good with respect to the discussion on materiality. A good number of students are good when it comes to writing the standard briefly. That has to be briefly. And many students tend to write the impact correctly as well. The problem is they don't discuss why there is a risk of non-compliance with the relevant standard. A AAA student will identify the risk, will discuss the accounting standard, will explain the impact, will discuss the materiality, but will miss what? The backbone, why there is a risk, which is the main pillar. As I said, it's the backbone. And as a result of that, they will write a lot of content, but still fail the paper. Now, this failure arises in 5 distinct sub-patterns. Guys, this is where you have to absorb. This is where we have to connect. If we will disconnect over the next 2 minutes, everything will be wasted. Please try and understand mistake number one committed by the students all around the globe is the students tend to focus on the students tend to focus on routine, long-standing operational information, which is not important. We need to focus on new, unusual information. Mistake number two committed by the student is they tend to miss why there is a risk. Now, when I say they tend to miss why there is a risk, there are multiple cases. So mistake number two, why is there a risk? It's missing or it is not appropriate. Now, there are multiple cases. Case number one, student's name is Ahmed, and Ahmed skipped why there is a risk altogether. I think that's a very simple case. I think you can well imagine. Student has correctly identified the risk. Student has correctly discussed the standard, and directly student has jumped towards the impact. Student did not write anything when it comes to why there is a risk. So students will write the accounting standard, and student will assume that I have developed the point. No, standard itself is not the explanation that why there is a risk. No, the accounting standard tells the reader or the marker what correct accounting treatment should be. But why is there a risk tells the reader or the marker why the management's chosen treatment according to the information is not in line with the standard. Why you think that it deviates from the rule or the standard? Why no justification has been provided for that deviation? You need to discuss why there is a risk. Until or unless you will discuss why there is a risk of non-compliance with the standard, why you think that the client's accounting treatment could be wrong or is wrong, you need to have a separation between the standard and why there is a risk. That's the first mistake within the second category. That's your 2.1. Let's go for 2.2. Now comes a cheeky student. A cheeky student will simply rewrite the identification part, and he or she will believe that this is my explanation. The student will simply rewrite the information from the question paper, and he or she believes that this is it. I have explained why there is a risk. The student copies the scenario, which is correct. He or she will write a second sentence, appropriate accounting standard, and then will simply restate the same information from the question, and the student believes that it is a valid explanation. No, no, no. If you are rewriting the information available in the question as an explanation and not discussing why you think there is a risk of non-compliance, you will not get marks. 2.3, it's all about why there is a risk, which is not correct or missing or not appropriate. In short, not leading you towards the marks. Listen to me. I have realized that many AAA students will identify the risk from the question paper correctly. They will discuss the accounting standard correctly, and then they will start writing procedures. They will start writing what auditor needs to do now. Procedure is a separate exam requirement. When you are writing about the risk of material misstatement, you should not write what auditor needs to do. Procedures, they are not going to be considered as an explanation. When you need to write why there is a risk, do not write a procedure over there. Many students tend to do that. So, for example, this needs to be clarified with management. Students will write, this needs to be discussed with the management. With auditor needs to ensure this. No, 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 no. Those are procedures. Those are the actions which must not be discussed while writing the risk of material misstatement. They earn no marks whatsoever. That's your 2.3. 2.4. Another cheeky student. Another student who has created a formula for himself or herself, a formula student. Student will identify the risk from the question paper correctly, will discuss the accounting standard correctly, and before jumping towards the impact, which is going to be correct as well, student will come up with few fixed labels. Guys, I need 1 minute and you will be in love with this. The student will write few fixed phrases such as this is highly judgmental or there is a risk of management bias. And once the student will be done with the standard itself, the student will use these terminologies and student will believe that this is an explanation. Not at all. Guys, if a student will write words such as or phrases such as highly judgmental or management bias, and if the student believes that they have supplied a reason for the risk, no, my friend, these are labels. These are labels, and they are very useful labels. These are labels, and I agree, these are very useful labels, but they are labels nonetheless. They will not make you score mark unless you prove or you come up with a reason why this is highly judgmental, why there is a risk of management bias. So these labels are not good enough for you to score full marks. You need to explain why the specific accounting treatment in the specific year is wrong or could be wrong. Your why has to be there. Simply using this label, risk of management bias, that's not enough. You need to provide, there is a risk of management bias because a planned listing is around the corner and the finance director's bonus is. So you need to come up with the reason. Last reason, 2.5, the last one before I move towards the third and the final mistake and we are done. Writing this is wrong instead of reason. The student correctly copies the information from the question, correctly writes the accounting standard, then makes a huge blunder. The student simply states that what management did was wrong and moves straight to the impact. Give me the reason. So student use the copy paste technique to identify the information, will write the standard and will say the client's accounting treatment is wrong. No reason, no explanation that why accounting treatment is wrong. Simply conclusion, the client's accounting treatment is wrong. And as a result of that, this and that financial statement item is under or overstated. Again, your why is absent. Before you reach towards the conclusion that the client accounting treatment is wrong, because where the hell is because? You need to come up with the reason why. So these are the 5 ways through which students tend to miss out the pillar, which is why there is a risk. Let's move towards the third and the final mistake committed by the student, which is the student will write the accounting standard such as IAS2 inventory, and while discussing why there is a risk, the student start discussing impairment, which is about IAS 36. Let me give you another example. The student will write what IFRS 15 is all about, and while discussing why there is a risk, student will discuss that there is a risk that the management has not appropriately determined the material, the provision. Your accounting standard and your explanation that why there is a risk of non-compliance, they have to be on the same page. They must complement each other. The student will write the standard correctly, and when the student will start writing why there is a risk, the why there is a risk has got nothing to do with the standard just stated above. Please try and understand both parts within the development, the standard and why there is a risk. They have to be individually correct, but at the same time, they have to be connected as well. You will not score marks if your standard and why are on different platforms, if they are not connected with each other. You must speak about the same issue which you discussed in the relevant accounting standard. They have to be on the same page. Guys, I'm done. Now, you might have a clarity of 5 out of 10 as I speak right now. You will only have an absolute level of clarity if I will show you a mistake committed by the student, such as this one. When I will show you a mistake such as this one. When I will show you a mistake such as this one. I will show you a mistake where the student has written a procedure instead of why there is a risk, where the student has rephrased the identification, where the student did not discuss why there is a risk at all. When I will tell you how the student has picked up a routine transaction and considered it as a risk. So as we speak right now, I'm sure and I hope that your level of clarity in relation to risk of material misstatement is somewhere around 4, 5, or 6 out of 10. If you want to go to the, if you want to go an extra mile, and if you want to score 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 20, the next 10 minutes are important. And I'm not going to teach anything new now. So it's going to be a consolidation phase. It's going to be a phase where I will amalgamate the student's answer with what I've taught you so far. So hang on, And please concentrate. Let's recall recurring mistake number one committed by the students all around the globe. They treat routine transaction as a risk, and they end up writing so much all in vain, no marks whatsoever, because it's not a risk. The question says Speedy Style Company owns distribution warehouses and they use third party delivery networks. Guys, I ask you all, prepare Speedy Style Company before attending this lecture. So this is important. Speedy Style Company owns distribution warehouses and they use third party delivery networks in the 12 countries in which they trade to deliver products quickly to customers in order to satisfy the demand for the latest fashion trends. Is this something they did during this year? Is this something they have never done before? Is this something unusual for them? Is this something new for my audit client? The answer is no. Now the student will discuss, I don't know what standard and I don't know what the student will write. This is a classic example where the candidate is focusing on something which the focus has to be on something which has changed during the year or something new or something unusual. Now, as per IFRS 15, when there is a third party involved in the sale, the revenue should be recognized when the product has been sold and delivered to the customers by the third party or middleman, and not when the supplier delivered it to the third party. There is a risk that revenue is overstated, and as the Speedy Style Company recognizes it on delivery to third party network. Is this something new? The examiner rewards risk that arose during the year. So the examiner will only give you credit when you will discuss significant risk of material misstatement happened during the year, relevant for the current year's audit. The change in the refund liability from 50% to 40%. This is something new during the year. The client has purchased K brand during the year. This is something new. The client is facing shipping delay during the year. All these things are new and unusual and painful, and you have to be watchful. But this third party distribution model, it's a routine. It is not a current year risk. So my student this is the answer drafted by one of my student, to be honest. My student is trying to manufacture the risk out of a stable, long standing arrangement. Student has drafted so much and the student is feeling so happy because he or she believes that they have fulfilled all the components, but at the end of the day, no marks whatsoever. I hope you're feeling much better now. You know, by checking out a real example. Let me give you another example. A student says, this is with the gray color, this is the answer drafted by the student. Speedy Style Company has a high level of customer returns, and the company has a policy of providing the customer with a full refund if the clothing is returned within 1 month from the delivery date in the original sale condition. Okay, that's the information extracted from the question. There is no need to discuss materiality. Step one, step two, sorted. Let's go for the development. And when I say develop the point, it means discuss the accounting standard and then discuss why there is a risk. Guys, please read it. According to IFRS 15, revenue from contracts with customer, the entity is required to estimate the refund from the sales with right to return and reduce the revenue by the amount and recognize a refund liability for the amount of refund that is expected. Inventory should be adjusted accordingly with any estimated impairment and recovery cost. So this is what the standard says. This is the heading. This is the heading which I have given for making you understand. So the standard is there. And then what about the next sentence? If a refund liability is not recorded, this will understate the liability and overstate the revenue. So the student has directly jumped towards the impact. Please listen to me. Student has used the copy paste technique to identify the information. There was no need to discuss materiality. The student has discussed the accounting standard, and then student has finally jumped towards the under or over part. What is missing? What is missing? The student has missed why there is a risk altogether. Student has missed why there is a risk. Let me give you another example from the student. Real examples. Management's estimate of 40% return for the last month sale is $56 million, which is highly material amount. Wow. Not only the student has identified the information from the question, the student has also discussed the materiality. That's good. That's a nice, juicy start. So the identification along with the quantification, I would say it's a good start. Okay, very, very good. Now, step number 2, let's develop the point. And when I say develop the point, need to discuss the standard and then need to discuss why there is a risk. Let's discuss the standard. According to IAS 37, warranty provision is to be made for a product and revenue is to be recognized once the warranty period is over. You can always recognize the revenue once the warranty period is over and no claims are made. Okay, the standard is okay. What about why there is a risk? Their revenue is overstated and the management has already recognized 50% of the sales and 40% of which would be refunded during the warranty period. Is this why there is a risk? This is all information from the question paper. This is all information which is already available in the question. So student is basically rephrasing the identification part and assuming it that this is the analysis. Not at all. And then finally, the impact. Impact is appropriate. There is a risk that expenditure is understated and ultimately the profit is overstated. Yeah. So student has discussed the student has identified the risk pretty well. Good start. But instead of discussing IFRS 15, the student has discussed IAS 37. It's about the revenue. It's not about the provision. This warranty provision needs to be discussed in accordance with IFRS 15 because the level of claims must be, considered by the management and they should not recognize it as a revenue. So the student should have discussed IFRS 15 rather than IAS 37. So, and what about why there is a risk? Student has just rephrased the identification part. The examiner has already given you the information that 40% of the sale. So the student has provided no reason why there is a risk. The student has not discussed that why this deviation from 50 to 40% is wrong or could be wrong. What incentive the management or the directors have to reduce the provision from 50% to 40%. Rather than discussing that, the student has just rephrased the identification part. Okay, let me give you another example. Read this. Guys, you've got 1 minute. I will keep quiet for the next 2 minutes. Please try and understand and pick up the mistake committed by the student. You've got a couple of minutes. Use the chat box and let me, please tell me. I've got a question from Ikra and she's confused between audit risk and risk of material misstatement. Ikra, give me just 10 more minutes and I promise I will resolve this confusion forever. The biggest mistake committed by the student is the student is writing a procedure rather than why there is a risk of non-compliance with the standard. Forget about the standard as of now. Basis of estimation of final month sales needs to be clarified from the management. Who needs to clarify? Auditor. This is an action which the auditor should or would apply. This is a procedure. This is not why there is a risk of non-compliance. Impact is correct. So please try and understand there are multiple mistakes committed by the student. Number one, well, identification is very good. Impact, well, do not write maybe under or overstated. No, 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 no. You have to be really clear about it. The student says there is a risk that revenue may be under or overstated. That's rubbish. The student is writing a procedure. That's rubbish. The student is writing a wrong accounting standard. That's rubbish. There are intentionally, I gave you couple of minutes so that you could evaluate this answer, because there are multiple mistakes when it comes to this particular script. And I'm afraid to say that these are the real answers drafted by the students. But it's okay. You can always improve. You can always learn. There are multiple mistakes. Guys, please concentrate. The student started with good, identification. The jump, this was a very good part. The company's revenue has jumped from 98 to 140. These things, they tend to score professional skill marks as well. The student has discussed the wrong accounting standard. When it comes to why there is a risk, assume the standard is correct. Still, you can't write the procedure. Needs to be clarified from management. This is something which is a procedure. And then don't say maybe understated or maybe overstated. Commit a direction. If you will try to be cheeky and smart by hedging yourself, you will lose marks. So this is a very, very good example, and you can learn a lot out of it. Guys, please read it. Suggesting a procedure is not the same as explaining why there is a risk. Procedures belong in a separate requirement of the question. You can't write a procedure while discussing why there is a risk. Similarly, you need to pick up a direction, overstated or understated. There are few occasions where a particular item could be both under or overstated, but you can never say maybe, never ever. Guys, another answer from a student, and you need to pick up the mistake. This is the answer drafted by the student. Read it, please. I'm reading it as well. The company has reduced its estimate of returns from 50% to 40% of the final month sale. So the student has identified the risk of material misstatement from the question. Okay, student has not discussed materiality. It's okay. Let's move forward. No accounting standard. Okay. The student has used labels, and labels without explanation will yield nothing. This is highly judgmental and it will impact profit. There is a risk of management bias. Guys, and finally, the impact. So the student has discussed the copy paste, student has used the copy paste technique appropriately. And instead of writing what the IFRS 15 says, student has gone for highly judgmental. No, you can't do that. Why there is a risk? This is something which is completely missing. You can't say. If you wanted to discuss risk of management bias, yes, you are allowed to discuss risk of management bias because there is a planned acquisition going on. But before that, you must have discussed what the standard says and why there is a risk of non-compliance. And student has correctly discussed the under and over part. So there are multiple mistakes. Student has correctly used the copy paste technique in order to identify the risk of material misstatement. Student has used couple of labels and skipped the standard, skipped why there is a risk. So the student has completely denied the development of the risk, and the student has finally jumped towards the under or over part. So the two missing components are, which two components are missing? Please read this again. Student answer number 5, please read it. Which two components are missing? No accounting rule. Well done. And automatically no discussion why there is a risk. Well done, well done, well done. So let me give you a model answer for why there is a risk. The reduction in the refund liability from 50% to 40% of the final month sales appears inappropriate. As a student, as an auditor, I'm discussing this with my partner. my partner, engagement partner, respected sir or ma'am, Mr. A, this reduction from 52% to 40% seems to be inappropriate. It appears inappropriate. Considering the fact my client operates in a fast fashion industry, they are highly exposed to rapid trend changes and they will definitely face a high level of customer returns. Considering the fact customer cannot inspect the item. Guys, imagine two different business. One, a physical retail outlet, no online presence. B, a website selling online goods, fashion goods, no physical presence. What do you think? Who's going to face more and more level of returns where the customer has got no opportunity to physically inspect the item? So there is no evidence which suggests that the company has dramatically improved their website or the customer experience or something like that. So the management has deviated from their past practice without providing any supporting evidence or justification. My question is there any scenario where management is genuinely allowed to deviate from their past trend or past practice, such as going down from 50% to 40%? The answer is yes, they are allowed. The change in estimates are allowed according to the accounting rules, but only when there is a justifiable reason or justification attached to it. Management is permitted to revise the estimate, but there has to be reliable information. In this particular case, for this particular question, there is no such evidence available. And that is why I believe that there is a risk that the year end revenue is overstated and the refund liability is understated. Another student with another answer. Guys, you have got 1 minute. Please read it. Find out the mistake. I think step number one, identification, is brilliant. I think even the materiality part is appropriate, but I would love to see the quantification as well. I would like to know, what are you going to calculate 50% of the last month's sale? Option number one. Option number two, are you going to calculate 40% of the last month's sale? What are you going to do? Or is there any option three? The student has not quantified the materiality, but still I appreciate. My question is, if you have to draft your answer, will you consider materiality by calculating 50% of the last month sale or 40% of the last month sale, or is there anything else? Two thumbs up. Yes, the difference. Because management has historically calculated 50%. This year, they have calculated 40%. So 40% is not the problem. The problem is the difference between what they used to do and what they are doing in this year without justification, without supporting evidence. So a brilliant student will come up with the 10% calculation. Okay, come on. Let's read the student's answer. Accounting rule: IFRS 15 state revenue should be recognized only to the extent that is highly probable that a significant reversal will not occur. Wow. Meaning management must estimate and recognize a refund liability and adjust revenue for expected return. Well done. So this is the standard. Then there is a risk management estimate of 40% return is biased. So you are using a label, risk of management bias. Where is the reason behind this label? Label without the justification, without the reason, is just a label. The student would be in love with his or her answer, but in leading to overstated revenue and profit and understated refund liability. Brilliant. Student has written a very good answer, but only one thing is missing. This answer is closer to a full mark response. So far, by far, this is the best answer I've read into today's lecture. It has 4 of the 5 components in place beautifully. Adding just 1 or 2 sentences, why, for the sake of explaining why management's reduction from 50 to 40% lacks justification, would have lifted from a 0 mark answer to a full mark answer. This is the entire difference between a 0 and a 3 mark. If you will miss why there is a risk, your identification becomes nothing but a copy paste information. Your impact becomes a guess. Your standard becomes a decoration. Let's read the third last answer before we finally end this lecture. Read it, please. Read it. Counting rule. ICE 37 require wrong standard. ICE 37, while discussing the standard and while discussing why there is a risk, the student is discussing IFRS 15. What is the mistake? You have got a couple of minutes. Don't rush to the chat box. Take your time. Please read the entire answer. Even read the impact as well. Read the identification as well. Take your time. Don't rush. Guys, in this question, if the student is simply saying that the estimate made by the client is wrong, still the student has not discussed why this estimate is wrong. The examiner needs an argument from you. You must write this estimate of 40% rather than 50% is wrong. Probably it is wrong because there is no evidence to support the reduction. Although the client still operates in a fast fashion sector, so the company tends to expect a higher number of returns. So how, without any justification, they have reduced? They've got no physical, the customers have got no opportunity to inspect the product. So the company should keep on expecting the level of returns. So without any justification or explanation, if you will use this tag or a banner, you will score no marks whatsoever. Student is not explaining why is it wrong. Student is simply saying this is wrong. Again, why is absent. Guys, second last example from a student. You have got couple of minutes. Please read it. This is all the information from the question. The student has calculated 40% of the last month's sales, and the student is claiming that it is highly material amount. Then the student has discussed the accounting standard IFRS 15. Please read it. You have got a couple of minutes. Then we will break down this answer. You have got 1 more minute. Please read the entire answer drafted by the student. Then I will break it down into different components for the sake of further analysis. Shipping delays. Okay, let's go into the detail. So the student has identified the risk, discussed the materiality. Now, identification and materiality, okay, it's a strong start. Although ideally speaking, your calculation has to be on the 10%. Okay. In accordance with IFRS 15, revenue should be recognized after removing the percentage of returns which are expected. With the 40% expected returns, the revenue should be less with what amount the liability will be recognized. So the student has correctly discussed IFRS 15. Now, what about why there is a risk? Now comes the problem. Here lies the problem. Accounting rule when the student was discussing accounting rule, the student was discussing the fact that according to IFRS 15, you are not supposed to recognize the level of revenue which is expected to be returned. So it was about the refund liability. But while discussing there is a risk, the accounting rule speaks about the refund liability, but when the students started writing about why there is a risk, the students started discussing revenue growth. The students started discussing shipping delays. Now, these two issues are not related with the IFRS 15. Particularly, these two issues are not relevant with the fact that the management has changed the estimate from 50% of the sale return to the 40% of the sale return. So, impact is correct. Remember, I told you your standard and why there is a risk. They have to be on the same page. There has to be an alignment between the accounting rule and why there is a risk. Please read it. The accounting rule and why there is a risk, they must be on the same page. If you are discussing refund liability, you must also discuss why there is a risk that the refund liability is understated. Specifically, why 40% is inappropriate. It's a decline, it's a reduction from 50% to 40% with no supporting evidence that the customer has got the opportunity to inspect the product, or there is a improved website, there is an improved experience for the customer or something like that. So considering the fact there is no evidence to justify the reduction from 50% to 40%, this should have been discussed. Out of nowhere, if the client has decided to reduce the refund liability from 50% to 40%, that has got nothing to do with the revenue growth. That has got nothing to do with the delays in the inventory or the supplies. So the student has discussed something else while discussing the standard, and the student has switched to some other information which is not related with the standard. So this is it. I am leaving the 9th example for you. I am done. This is a perfect answer. And in the perfect answer, I've identified the information from the question, and I've only focused on the 10% of the last month's sale for the sake of calculating materiality, which is going to be 14 million, significantly higher as compared to my chosen materiality level of $400,000. So this step number 1 will hopefully make me score technical and professional skill mark. Then I have just discussed IFRS 15. Along with that, I've discussed that inventory needs to be adjusted as well. Even if a student will miss IS2, still no problem. Why there is a risk? I will discuss historically the company has maintained 50% out of nowhere without any justification. They've gone down to 40%. They've put, according to the information, there is no supporting evidence, no valid justification to support this reduction. The company is an online business. They are exposed to a high level of returns. So yes, the company is allowed to change the estimate, but there has to be reliable new information which supports this reduction. Considering the fact there is no such information available here, there is a risk of management bias. Maybe the company is trying to inflate the revenue and the profits because there is a planned stock exchange listing and they want to impress the potential investors. I've not just used the banner, I've explained the reason why there is a risk of management bias. I've explained why there is a risk of non-compliance with IFRS 15. Finally, if that is the case, the refund liability would be understated and the revenue and profit would be overstated, so as the liabilities. Even if the student will miss the inventory part again, still you will end up scoring 3 or maybe 4 marks out of it. So this is a perfect answer. And I need 2 more minutes and then I will be done with this lecture. That's it. That's it. This will be finished. So I need 1 more minute. So here is a checklist. Have you used new or unusual information as your risk? Please keep that in mind. Routine or long-standing arrangements will not be considered as a risk of material misstatement. Make sure you are somehow extracting the information from the question paper. Make sure you are writing the correct standard. Make sure you are actually writing why there is a risk. You are not skipping why there is a risk. Make sure you are not writing procedures and not treating procedures as why there is a risk. Make sure your risk and your standard, they are on the same page. Make sure if you are using a banner or a label such as risk of management bias, you must come up with an explanation. Make sure you pick a direction. Don't use maybe overstated. Pick up a direction. So do not write a procedure while writing why there is a risk. Do not write a procedure. So these are the things which can make you score full marks when it comes to a risk of material misstatement question. So this is it. I really hope so that with the help of this lecture, you will be in a great position and you will understand a lot about the risk of material misstatement question. A similar uh, lecture or a similar article is available for quality management as well. Guys, now it's time for me to go on to the chat box and then I will answer your queries and then I will take the leave. Okay. I'm worried about my exam. I failed AAA 3 times, 43, 47, 49. Now you are part of my batch because I can see that you are following my instructions 80%. Even you submitted assignments too. Your marks are not great, not okay, 12 marks. You're doing full-time job in another city and travel 3 hours daily. Oh my days. Have you got an opportunity to get exam leaves? Have you got some your have you got some annual leaves up in your sleeve? Get some sick leave, man, for the next 1 week, followed up by exam leaves. 3 hours of daily commute. This is painful. We'll get last week exam leave. That is what we call exam leaves. But right now, from 6th May to 11th, get some sick leaves or some annual leaves somehow. Yes, I'm so sorry to say, but your situation is, and most importantly, follow the revision batch plan. Forget every other lecture. Just follow the revision batch plan which I've discussed in the beginning of the today's session, and contact me on the WhatsApp. Is there a question you can recommend which has a detection risk? Yeah, give me a second, please. Yes, the question is called crux. The question crux in the crux question, this is your new audit client. And because this is a new audit client, listen to me. You are allowed to discuss new client as a detection risk only if the question says discuss the audit risk. Okay, I think similar question was asked by a student. Listen, your AAA examiner can ask you to evaluate and prioritize either audit risk, or your AAA examiner can ask you to evaluate and prioritize significant risk of material misstatement. Now, what's the difference? If the examiner has asked you to evaluate and prioritize audit risk, it means you are allowed to write about both risk of material misstatement and detection risk, because audit risk has got two parts: risk of material misstatement, which is heavily tested in the exam on more than 90% occasions, but you are allowed to write about the detection risk as well. But if the question says evaluate and prioritize ROMM, then even if the client is a new audit client, which creates a detection risk, don't write about the detection risk, because you are not supposed to write about audit risk. Instead, you are supposed to write about the risk of material misstatement. Is this clear to everyone? Especially, it was asked by Rouge. I don't know. Okay, Ikra. Yeah, thank you very much. Any other question from anyone? Ikra, your messages are direct messages. Any other question from anyone? I've got another session tomorrow at 7 p.m. UAE time. followed up by a break of 2 days, probably. No, yeah, 2 days for the AA webinars, then a break. And then we will have three back-to-back sessions where I'll be discussing the September-December 2025 paper. Any other question from anyone? Uh, I've got a question. How many hours tomorrow's session expected to be? This session lasted approximately 3 hours. I think tomorrow's session will end up somewhere in between 2 hours 15 minutes tomorrow, because in, in the tomorrow session I will not be discussing the plan and the all those stuff in detail. I will directly jump towards a past paper question. 2.5 hours max. Thank you very much, guys. I think everyone is well sorted. Everyone is feeling happy about the session. So thank you very much. Sir, does a related party transaction give rise to ROMM? Absolutely. Related party transaction is considered as something which is material by nature. There is a risk that the client has not disclosed, or there is a risk the client has not adequately disclosed. So indeed, it's a risk of material misstatement. So if you wish to join the revision course, well, after probably it is live through the VIFHE website, and you can enroll yourself for the revision course for any paper, let it be AA or AAA. But if just in case, if you're struggling, you can contact me after 10 to 12 hours and I will give you the direct link, and you can join the revision course and be part of this journey where we will give our level best and ensure that you will have a winning day on Monday, 1st June 2026. And just in case, if you are not interested in joining the revision course, well, in that case, you can still join the free global WhatsApp group. The link is available in the chat box, and I will share all important stuff over there. And I'm always available through the WhatsApp and Instagram. Thank you very much. And please, please, please watch the video. I'm about to share a video. It will not take more than 10 minutes. I think it will take just 7 minutes, and you will be absolutely confident about the upcoming exam. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye. And see you soon.